My name is Gert van der Bijl. I work for Solidaridad here at the European office. I will share with you our experience in Bangladesh in working on supply chains in several sectors. But I first want to thank the Honourable Minister for his presentation, and I was really happy to hear the real priority that agriculture has also at political level in Bangladesh. And also happy to hear from the Honourable Ambassador that he really wants to look into the future and not look back. And I think it's important to imagine the future. But before that, I want to say that I really also like what Steve said, the term realistic optimism, because I think, and the ambassador asked us not to look back, but I think if we look back 20 years in Bangladesh, where we were in Bangladesh 20 years ago, and we realize where we are now, I think we can talk about challenges in the future and all kind of difficulties, and there are there. But I think there is real reason for realistic optimism. So much has changed over the last 20 years for the good, and I'm convinced that with the political priority for agriculture, a lot can change for the better in the future as well. So I worked 15 years for Solidaridad in the Netherlands. Before that, I worked 20 years in the Dutch agriculture, including 8 years in the Dutch Ministry of Agriculture, where I was responsible for innovation policy, and I'm really happy to share that experience with you here. What I will do is first share some experience from a large program that we've done in Bangladesh in the southwestern part, the Safal program. Build on that, also look into some challenges in horticultural supply chains in mango, and then come up with some building blocks for the future. There is no one road ahead, but what I will do is share with you some building blocks that we can use to imagine the future and go forward. So first, some key elements that I want to share about the Safal program that we at Solidaridad have been working on with a large number of stakeholders from the private sector, from the government in Bangladesh, where we worked in the southwestern part of Bangladesh in dairy, livestock, in aquaculture, soybean, and horticulture. And I will focus more on the horticultural part here. And the SAFAL stands for Sustainable Agriculture, Food Security and Linkages. And I especially want to mention that last word, linkages, because in the end, that is, I think, the key thing that we should cherish and focus on for the future. So what we did in this program is support farmers and workers to improve productivity, to improve quality, and to give them more access to knowledge, but also access to markets. That was very much done from a private sector setting. So with service provision, where we supported SMEs in setting up profitable business to support farmers. In the end, to form farming clusters, market structures, very much from the market perspective, with the aim in the end, and we reached that aim, to reach 500,000 people, both farmers and landless people, in improving their nutrition. We have had an external evaluation, and I think that was one of the most thorough evaluation that I've ever seen in my life, with control groups that concluded that this program directly increased agricultural productivity and income of smallholders, with higher small yields, better farm income, and what was also important, reduced post-harvest losses, which in Bangladesh is definitely important. But it also improved access to food, especially horticulture, but also dairy and aquaculture, for people that are food insecure and have little access to food. So what were the key success factors? And I really want to stress these. First of all, that is the most important one, the partnership. Partnership between the government, partnership with the private sector, with NGOs, with extension, very much based on trust and based on starting with the market, and really starting from market demand. One thing that we introduced, for instance, in the cabbage sector, in mango sector, was contract farming, to really ensure that farming is market based, and that farmers, if they produce more, they know that they can sell it. And in the end, that is the most important incentive that farmers can receive. But also to ensure that there is a market for better quality. For instance, we worked a lot in the mango sector, setting up farming clusters in mango, market clusters that also led to higher export. There, better payment with contracts for quality was a very, very important element. And one other thing that I want to mention is the importance of working with producer groups. We did a lot in ensuring that farmers were united in group, not with a, let's say, one scheme of how to do that, but flexible. But it was important to have farmers united in groups to be better able to serve them with technology, with knowledge, because if you have to do that on an individual basis, it will never be effective. But also to improve market access and bring together the produce. Another important element that I want to mention here, and often forgotten, is the importance of working and focusing on women. In each and every sector in Bangladesh, women play a very important role, and having a special attention for women has shown to be very, very important. Some of the lessons that I want to share here, then make a step to the overall situation, also learning from what we have seen in our programs in horticulture in Bangladesh. Well, I think a lot of it has already been mentioned. The main puzzles for the future are climate change, salinizations, and urbanization that is changing the market. And one thing that is, I think, very important to mention for urbanization is that it makes markets more formal and also increases the quality demands and requirements for farmers. Well, I think most of the other things have been mentioned already, so I move on to the next one. If you look at the supply chains in horticulture in Bangladesh, there are several challenges ahead. High cost of nutrients, capacity gaps in use of sustainable practices. And I think it's important to realize that a lot of them are linked together, and that you can only solve inadequate storage, for instance, if you also work at farm level to improve quality. Because if you have poor quality, then you're storing poor quality food, and that's not efficient. So a lot of these things in the supply chain, issues in the supply chain in horticulture, are related. That's also the case in the mango value chain. Mango is definitely one of the sectors where I think, for good reasons, the Bangladeshi agriculture is very proud of. I think it's also good to realize the immense increase in production that has taken place over the last couple of years, and also to realize that there is still a lot more possible, also by reducing loss here. And again, that does require technical knowledge of farmers, that does require organizing farmers, addressing low quality, and first of all, starting again with market access, market information, and ensuring that farmers have a market, know where the market is, and have both knowledge and information about the market, and in organizing them to get a larger piece of the cake in the market. So if we look at other countries, well, the Dutch diamond has been mentioned several times already. I worked at the Ministry of Agriculture here, and I'm still convinced, also looking at what is happening in the Netherlands, that also here in the Netherlands, working together and organizing trust between extension officers and research, between farmers' organizations and extension officers, is absolutely a key issue, also something that is, I think, important for other countries as well. Also looking around here in the Netherlands, we can increasingly see how difficult it is to organize that trust and to work together. But still, I think it is absolutely important. Well, if we look at some experiences in other countries in South Asia, I mentioned here two in Indonesia and Vietnam, two things also stand out there. One is cooperation throughout the supply chain, flexibility, and organizing trust and being active in each and every element. And second, I mentioned here VietGap, which is working on improved quality of horticulture in Vietnam. Their IT digital solutions are absolutely a key element in what they are doing. And I think something that if we talk and think about the future and about imagining the future is definitely important. And also there to ensure that it helps in linking each and every element in the supply chain, because also there digital tools and IT can play a very important role. Then to my final conclusions, and this is partly stolen, so to say, from the Wageningen University. So I'm happy to be here and present this. One thing that I think is important to realize, and coming also from this study from Wageningen University, is that 50% of all food supply chain interventions fail. And I'm quite convinced that a lot of this failing is from, first of all, not starting with the market. Secondly, not having activities linked in each and every part of the supply chain. And to be honest, also, if I look at our own work, I think that 50% is not too high. It could be even more. And then secondly, and that's also our learning from our work in Bangladesh, it is important to combine interventions in each and every element in the supply chain and to realize that they are all linked together and that you cannot just pick out one thing and then think that things will really change. And the last one I also liked is it's not enough to just put a watering can near a tree. So don't focus on technology, be it IT, be it cold chain, but realize that each and every progress requires hardware, software, and orgware to be well combined. So technological solutions, competencies, skills, and organizational change. And first of all, it starts with cooperation and trust. Thank you.